Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night from where or when you're watching this video. This is John from IT Skills Academy, and I take this opportunity to welcome you back to my channel. Thanks for choosing to learn with IT Skills Academy. This is episode 18 of how to create a pharmacy management system, and in today's episode we'll be creating the checkout page. I'm trying to keep it under a maximum of 30 minutes, and that's what we'll be doing in this video. So whatever will not be done under 30 minutes, we are going to push it in the next episode. So without so much ado, let's get started. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends if you'd like to share the knowledge. Subscribe to IT Skills Academy so that you get notified every time we release a new video. Now, let's roll the intro. Alright, so thanks again for choosing to continue to learn with IT Skills Academy. In front of me is a blank page. As you can see, I've named it. This is a checkout page. As you can see, it is empty, so we'll be building it from scratch. But just to save time, I have this template from where we usually start everything, and I will be leaving a link to download this template in the description of this video, just in case you may want to modify it your own way. So without so much ado, let's get to the Visual Studio Code, and this is the code itself that is giving us what we have here. And I just want us to start modifying it. And so what we're going to do first, we're going to get rid of this. So I get rid of that, and then for this, instead of being container fluid, I will replace it with a canned, and I'll have this can having a shadow, and I'll also have it with a class of call MD6. Okay, so I'll also want to make it a container, so I'll give it a class of container, and also padding of px5. Now inside this card, we're going to have the card header. So I'm going to create a div with a class of card header, and so inside this we're going to have the card itself, so it will be centered, or I want to center it. So within that center tag, we're going to have h5, and here we can just have sales, or let me just call it what? Let me just call it checkout. You can give it any name. So now below here, or below the header, we're going to have the card body. So I'll just say card body, and within this body now we are going to have a form. So the form is post, or should have the method of post. For the action, we are going to leave it blank for now. We are going to get back to that in a moment. Now inside the form, we're going to have various inputs, but before we have the inputs, we're going to have the inputs lapped within a div. So I'm going to create a div, and I'll give it a class of call MD12. Now within the form, we're going to have some inputs, but the inputs will be wrapped within divs. So I'm going to create a div with a class of form group, and within these we are going to first of all have a label, and this one will be for money given, like the money that the client has rendered to you. So that is money given. Okay, so we can even have these being bold. So let me just bold this. So B, and we can just have that inside there. Now below this, I'm going to have yet another div, and I'll give it a class of call md12. And so now inside here we are now going to have the input itself. So it should have a type being text. We can even give it a number. We'll also give it a class. So for the class, of course, for it to be responsive, we have to give it a class of form control, and for the placeholder, give it a placeholder, and the placeholder, we're just going to come and say enter the amount received from the patient. Enter the amount received from the patient. So let's first of all refresh the page and see what we got. Okay, so now we need to fix this, because I think we have a problem here. This one should be at the center and not where it is currently. So if we go to that specific div, you can see the div here. We have a typo here. This should be container. So let's just get rid of that, save the changes and refresh the page. Yeah, and that is fixed. As you can see now, we have our count appearing at the center. Okay, so now let's move on to the next thing. So we now want to have yet another form group, so yet another div with a class of form group. So to just save time, I'll just come and sort of copy this and duplicate it. So after that, now we are now going to have this one as amount due. So this one should be amount due. So this one should also change for the sake of the variable for, and also enter. In fact, this one will not have a placeholder. This one will just have the total amount that the patient is supposed to pay. So I'll get rid of all of that. So in this, we're going to instead have a value. So we're just going to put a dummy value here, and then we'll be updating this from the database editor. Alright, so we also need another input. So we also need another input field here. This one will be for the balance. So we can just come and replace these with balance. And also this one, we're not going to put placeholder. We're just going to have a value, and we can just have it like with 300 as the value. And that's it. So now the last thing that we want to have is the button to save that specific those specific details. So we're going to have a div, so div, and this div will be aligned. Let me just say align, and this one we want it to be aligned where we want to align it left, so I'll say align is equals left. And now we're going to inside this div have a button, so we'll say a button, and this button will be of type submit, so that is type is equals submit, and it should also have a class just to style it, so class is equals to btn success, and here maybe we can just check out, or we can give it any other name, and that's it. So now if we save the changes, in my case the changes are being done automatically, so that's why you're not seeing me going to the file and then save. It is happening automatically. Yeah, so I'll just go to the browser and refresh that, and this is what we got. So this is what we got. So we have the money given, the amount due, and the balance, and the person can be able to sort of check out. And maybe we can make this button to be block, so btn block. It's not a must, but I just find it appearing nice if it is fitting the whole space, this available space here. Yeah, something of that sort. And if you may want to have these input fields being smaller than they are, you can always come and change the size of the column here. So like we can have this as 6. So if we refresh the page, this is what we got. Yeah, and it's as quick as that, but now you can see it is appearing on the light. So maybe you may want it to be on the, it's appearing on the left, you may want it on the light, so you can just try to align to the left. But let me just show you. I'll see if this one will work. So align, you can say align is equals right. So in fact this one should be, let me just have it on the parent div here. Looks like you have a problem somewhere. Yeah, this one should not be here. So what's the problem? Okay, Ryan. Oh, sorry. It should be class is equals to form group, and the align should be here as such. So class is equals to form group. So let's refresh and see what we have. And as you can see, that is aligned to the light. So you may want it like that, you may want it in a different way, so it's up to you. So the way I had done it is that I had everything being on the being on the light, so like it's only the money given that was on that side. But I just think the best way to just have it is just have it in the normal way. So let's just get rid of that, but that's one way of doing it. You can apply that in a different project. And so after the refresh, yeah, that's what we have. So this is the form that a person will be using to look at the checkout. Like a person will be entering the amount received from the client, and then from here you'll be seeing the amount due. I don't know which one should come first. You can have the amount due coming first, or even being bold. In fact, we can try to have it like that. Instead of having it as an input, we can just have it on top here. In fact, that can be a very nice way of having that. So let's just try to modify that. So we can just get rid of this, and this one we try to make it maybe H4, and we can just come and say amount due, and maybe we can have a span, span here. Then we say like the total amount due is 500 sorry, so we can check that 500, and then instead of having this one here, instead of having it here, maybe we can have it on top here. So just go scroll up a little, so just below here we have it like that. Can even move it down a little bit like that. Yeah, so we have the amount due, and we have now the money given, and now we have the balance, and now that can be submitted to the database. So let's refresh and see what we have. That's what we have. So the amount due is 500. I think we can even make it a little bit bigger, so it's up to you, but for my case I'll just make it bigger a little bit. So let me give it a let me give it a H3. I refresh that and see how it looks like. Yeah, and that's what we have, and I think it looks nice when it's like that. So these are very nice cards. So we have the amount due, and now the client gives the money, you enter the money here, and so the balance now will be appearing somewhere here. And now that we have finished designing the scan, the next thing that we want to do is to add some functionality to it. And the first thing that we are going to do is to make it such that when a person enters the amount given from the client, that amount will be subtracted from the amount due, so that now we are able to know the balance below here. So so now to be able to do that, let's just get to the Visual Studio, and the first thing that we're going to do is to get to the amount due here. Hope that will be possible, and we give it an ID. So I'm just going to give it an ID of is equals, and I'm going to have amount due. Okay, so now after that we're also going to go to the input field where we have the amount given. So we're also going to give this an ID. So ID is equals to money given. So now after that we're going to write some JavaScript that will now be able to capture these values and subtract them accordingly. So to be able to do that, we're going to go at the very bottom of this page of ours where we have the JavaScript, and I'm just going to come and have it down here. And so we're just going to come and start it right away. So script, and the first thing that we're going to write inside this script is the function that will help to grab these numbers. So put a $sign into brackets, we say document dot ready, and this will be a function. In fact, I like grabbing this function here so that it can come with its own set of brackets. For our case, we don't need the name of the function, and also the parameters will be empty for now. So now we should have the function looking like that. So this one should not be here, so it should be like that. So before we forget, we should also have the semicolon there. Now what we want to do inside here, if you may just comment it out, we want to get the value on key up. So now, to be able to do that, we're going to have a $sign in a set of brackets. We're going to come and have some double quotes, and then we are going to have the IDs that we wrote above there. So that was amount given minus, comma, and the amount due. And then now outside here we come and say key up, and this should be a function, and it has no params again, and it also does not have a name. Good. Now inside that, okay, don't forget to end that with a semicolon. So inside that, we're going to create a value, call it total, or we can give it any name, is equals to 0. And then down here we're also going to have yet another value. We're going to call it x, and we're going to set it to equal to number, a set of brackets within which we're going to have a $sign, another set of brackets, and within these we're going to have the ID amount given. So all of these, don't forget, should be within quotes. And then outside here we should come and have a dot value and another set of brackets. Add that with a semicolon. So we want a similar one, so I'll duplicate that, but this time round we are going to change this value to y, and this one will be changed to amount due. Amount due. Now down here we're just now going to come and say, or create another value and call it a balance. You can give it any name, and now we are going to have it being set to x, which is the amount given, minus the amount due, so that is y. So just before we forget, there's a typo here, and add that with a semicolon. And so now finally now down here we're going to come and have a $sign and say within single quotes at the balance and the value outside here, and in a set of brackets we have the balance. Then we close that with a semicolon. So as simple as that. So if we refresh the page, let's refresh the page. So if we come and put a value here, let's say the client paid 1000. Oops, we should be having this value changing. Oh, sorry, we should also now pick this ID and have it under the balance section. Let me just show you what we should have there. So we should also now come and have this. So instead of value, in fact, we can just change this and say instead of value, this one should be ID is equals to balance. So let's refresh and see what we have. This one may not work with our script, so maybe what can we do? Let me just come and get rid of this, and we should now come and have an input here rather than sorry, I want to copy this. Other than the heading 3, oh sorry, we can just even have it under that. So we come and paste that there. So we should not have a placeholder for this because it will not be an input as such. And here we change this to be amount due. Sorry. In fact, to avoid confusion, I can get rid of this and have it inside here. So we have the amount due having the input down there. Let's see what we have so far on the browser. Alright, so now that will change it to make it look like this, which I think is fine. So now we can now come and try to have a value that will hold a dummy value for now. So maybe we can this time loud put 1000 being the amount due. Let's refresh that and see. So now if the client is supposed to pay 1000 and say for instance the client comes and pay 500, we should be able to see the balance. If the client is supposed to pay 10,000, we should be able to see that over there. So yeah, so that should be appearing automatically. And so that is one of the functionalities that I wanted to add here, and just to make it dynamic so that this data is coming from the database, we'll add some PHP in our next episode. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one, and as usual, stay safe. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to IT Skills Academy for video updates.